Hey folks, it's a new year and the same old Mal. I had I'm sure I had something clever I was gonna say, but Jill was right here. Kim was about to come in just as I started. I'm like, I'm about to go live. I'm like I feel like out of practice or something since it's been what, like 3 weeks since I've done this. Um just realized my hair is really fizzy, so I am getting water to defizz. Behave, hair. Be not free. All right. I can't tell if the live video has started on the Facebook group or not. Dun, dun, dun. It doesn't look like it has. Let me check. Do. Facebook is, of course, taking forever to do anything all of a sudden. Let's edit. Just give me 2 shakes. 2 shakes. Copy this. Paste it in here. Save it. All right. I don't think it's actually live on Facebook. Well, it is in the one place, but not the other. But how are people doing? How are folks after the holidays? I see Jill on my profile, and I see Amir. I think I've had you on here before. I don't do that on this stream. This is not about that sort of thing. So I'm putting you in timeout. Bye-bye. Although it says you were banned, but I think you're just in timeout. Anyway, just give me 2 shakes and I'm going to fix this up so it's going to work properly on our Facebook group. So I'm going to remove it, save. Let's see if I can add the Facebook group back in again. Save. If I can't, I might need to restart. Let's see. I guess it's more like new year, new problems with Facebook's group streaming. All right. Yeah, it's still thinking about it. Additional settings. Let me just see one more thing. If it doesn't work, I might need to restart, but that would make me sad. Hey, Miss Ocampo, plan releasing your urban fantasy novel in March. That's awesome. That is really cool to hear. Man, there's a lot of people here today. Who else here? Sound off. Yeah, I think I'm going to need to delete the thing I tried to start in the Facebook group and make a new one. Because it brokey. Yes, I do want to reassign my persistent stream key. Oh, this is so weird. You have to use this stream key to stream into Facebook, and even though I have a quote-unquote persistent stream key, it seems to keep changing on me. So I think that's what happened. Hey, Rosalie, how are you doing? How was your New Year's / holidays / whatever? Okay. This is not. I was gonna be all smooth and like just ready to rock, and I am not. I am neither smooth nor ready to rock, as it turns out. Okay. Is it gonna work? Nope, it's not. You know what? I actually think this might be a Facebook problem. I am just going to continue to stream to my page, and maybe Jill can put a post in the group linking everybody to the stream on my personal profile page, because I don't think it's going to work. Facebook they have failed me, and not for the last time either. They're going to fail me again. I'm glad you had a great time. What are your big goals for 2025, Rosa? I'm all about big goals. I'm actually, speaking of big goals, I'm starting my live streams again, where I live stream my writing, and then do sprints with other people. But I'm just going to be doing them in our membership group, to start with. I might do some periodically that are public, but the majority of them are going to be in our membership group. I'm doing them probably Mondays and Tuesdays. Sorry, Fridays and Tuesdays most weeks, although it's a little bit variable. My first one's tomorrow at 1:30. And that's going to be just in our group. Um, our membership group, that is, like, so that's our paid membership. I think a lot of the folks that are here are in that, though. So it's like $37 a month for the base level, and that's enough to get in and all this stuff. I actually think it's kind of a good deal. You get to hang out with me for like probably like 3 to 5 hours a week for that amount of money. And then we'll sprint for like 20 minutes, and then we'll chat for 5, and then we'll sprint for 20 and chat for 5. Um, and I'm gonna get this damn book that I'm working on finished, and then start new books. So let's see. Jill said, "Send me link. I can do everyone." Oh, she's talking about before. That was old message. So Delta says 2024 kicked my ass for hoping better in 2025. I am sorry about that. That's always that always sucks. But that happens, right? Like I always when I'm talking to authors about goals, I'm like, pad your timelines with time for things to go wrong. Like we have a launch course, and in the launch course, one of the things we talk about, we have like this sort of pretend persona. Her name's Fanny Longbottom, and we sort of like have her going along with the launch plan of what she's doing at certain points. And her launch day, the kids are homesick because that's just how the universe works, right? So a lot of stuff like that. Um, Wanted to do a rebrand of my pen name, Full Series, that Writing Wise helped me start Facebook ads on. Okay, yeah, that's when the Eliza work with you, right? New covers, new reader magnet, 2 spin-off series to make it a bigger package. That sounds exciting. That's going to be, what's the genre for that one? I forget what. I know I've looked at them, but I forget which they are right now. Um, yeah, my goal for 2025, and it was actually also my goal for 2024, but it's I'm not giving up. Just because I didn't do it in 2024 doesn't mean it's not my goal. It's to really get back on the writing horse. Um, and part of how I'm doing that is starting up the streams again. And also because we do our membership now, I have less one-on-one calls I need to do with people. So it used to be that sometimes I would do like 4 or 5, 6, 7 calls a day, every day of the week. And of course, how are you going to write when you're doing that? And now on an average week, I maybe have 6 or 7 calls across the entire week. So that's gonna make my life a lot easier. And I'm making Monday, Wednesday, and Friday no call days, unless I absolutely have to. Otherwise, that'll give me more days where I can just focus on getting the words down, which I'm stoked about because I still have so many ideas, and I have new ideas, and I need to do my new ideas. So, but I can't do the new ideas until I wrap up the old ideas because that would just be irresponsible of me otherwise. All right, I'm gonna try just while we're at it. Let's see if I can add in the Facebook group again. Nope, no dice. All right. Monique says, oh, I missed Rosa's comment. Rosa says, women's fiction, second chance, sister saga. After 13 years of authorship, I think I finally found a niche that works for me so I can write in the market well. That's good that you found that. And also it's good you got something that you like, because if you like it, you can write books faster. And that's just better, right? Like if you're writing a niche you kind of don't like and the books are slow and they're hard to get out, then it's harder to make a business out of it. All right, Monique says, popping in to say hi in the middle of putting my PC together. Power supply died, and of course, I was in the middle of final eds for a book coming out next week. Oh, that sucks. The computer I'm using right now, 2 days ago, my motherboard died, and it died like 5 minutes before a call. Thank goodness I have second PC that I was able to switch over to. But then I switched out the motherboard on this computer, and unfortunately, I had to put in like a much older, lower power CPU. So now I'm thinking about like how am I going to upgrade? Because this particular system takes a smaller motherboard. So I have a lot of newer things I could put in it, but I don't have. Um, they wouldn't fit because it takes like an ITX motherboard that's like this big. Um, but yeah, that sucks that your power supply died. Bummer. But hopefully you get it fixed pretty quickly and you can get that book done. Linda says, I have a series of 3 books written and desperately want to launch it in the right way so I can make back the cost of my covers at the very least. My last launch, a Christmas rom-com, sold 5 copies. When did you launch the Christmas rom-com? Was it and what did you do to launch it? 5 copies is I'm kind of curious how that played out. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely things you have to do. But if you there's a sort of a base number of steps you can go through where you should be guaranteed to launch much better than 5 copies. Do you mean 5 copies right at launch or 5 copies total? I need more details. December 10th. Interesting. Wow. I'm curious, what did you do to promote your launch? Jill says, I want to do AM14 Kickstarters. I have a plushie Space Cat who needs to see the light of day. Yes, the plushie Mr. Fizzlepop needs to be mass produced and distributed across the universe, or else he's going to try and kill us, and we can't have that. We don't want to have a fictional cat that Jill invented kill us because he could do it. He has the power. That's awesome, Rosa, that it blends with your skills and personality. That's the best. If you can find like a way to write something like that in a genre that you enjoy and sells well, then boom, that's the trifecta. Is it like super windy up there, Stacy? Because it's super windy down here, and like it's not like crazy cold, but it's like all the wind in the world. Like the wind is just working its way through the house, and all the wind in the world is just coming through the house. I've got a space heater literally under my desk, like between my legs, because not like not in a naughty way. That would be terrible. It's really hot, but just like I need all the heat possible, warming as much of my body as possible. So like I'm as curled around this space heater as I can possibly be right now. I mean, a logical thing to do would be to not be wearing latex and just wear like a sweater, but that would be like logical. And when it comes to clothing, logical is not my strong suit. 6 copies now. I sold one yesterday. Huh. So what's the title of that, Linda? I'd love to take a look at that. If you're okay with me taking a look at it on air and just giving some thoughts on air. Shared in social media, my 1,950 subscribers. Wow. All right. Hey, Amy. Quick question about UK ads. What are the result rates, CP, and frequency parameters you shoot for? I recall you saying UK audiences interact with ads differently than US audiences. Is it that much different than the metrics you recommend for US ads? CPCs are oftentimes a little bit higher, like maybe 10 to 20% higher, and your result rates are going to be like 30 to 50% lower than what you would expect for the US. It does depend a bit on genre. Like if you have a UK book written by a UK author in a UK setting, then they'll actually perform quite a bit better. Like I work with some authors who do UK detective stories, and those work amazing in the US. And for them, actually, sorry, they make work amazing in the UK. And for them, they do much. Their US numbers look like my UK numbers look, for example. But generally, it's going to be less by like I said, 10 to 20, more than 10 to 20% more on CPC, and 30 to 50% less on cost per click. But if the ad is good, conversion should be the same. So your clicks are going to cost you maybe a little bit more, result rates a little bit lower, but you should still be getting the same amount of conversion on the clicks. Monterey, so not as windy as where you are, but still stupid cold. Yeah, it was 21 Fahrenheit today, which is what, like minus, that's only like minus what, like 12, 14 Celsius, but the wind just makes it so much worse. Monica says my laptop didn't have Word. Microsoft subscription ended years ago. I had to find the disk for Microsoft 2010 and wait for it to finish installing. Can you even open a newer Word document with Word 2010? The only thing you could do if you have the file and you're struggling with Word is Google can open Word documents. Like, so Google Docs might be an option, just like as a quick and dirty thing. Hey, Deborah, how's it going? Creamed by Linda G. Hill. I'm guessing that's your permission for me to load it up on screen here. Amazon. All right, creamed Linda Hill. All right, I'm going to pop this out and share my screen so we can all see what we're looking at. Present, Share screen. Window. All right. So I am not the market for Christmas rom-com. Um, I feel like the cover is not super rom-com-y feeling though. It's kind of an odd combo of like, let me make it bigger so people can actually see it. Like it's got like the drawing in the background that gives a bit of a rom-com feel, although that's not exactly what rom-coms oftentimes look like. And it's got like a fairly steamy looking guy up front. I wonder if people who are I've not researched the exact like the markets for this in detail, but I wonder if the people who like Christmas stories and rom-coms and steamy rom-coms is not a Venn diagram with a heavy overlap. Um, just quickly skimming through the blurb here. Okay, fun, festive, and fiery romantic comedy. Fiery makes me think it's pretty spicy. Dun, dun, dun. And right, I was looking for categories. Yeah, see, I think this is kind of the thing, right? Like, this is what people are looking for when they're looking for rom-com covers and Christmas rom-com covers, and we can see what these authors are doing that are just nailing it. And then the darker and steamier stuff is the stuff that looks like this, like Holiday Hoax. Like that definitely looked dark and steamy. Um, I'm hoping it's dark and steamy because the cover screams dark and steamy. So I wonder if your cover has sort of like it's such a mixed message that people are just like, I don't understand what this is about. Um, and they're piecing out from there. So that's like just sort of like some quick and dirty thoughts I have. I'm popping back in here to see if other people have some other thoughts. You have 3 discs because you kept misplacing them. That's hilarious. Hey Johanna. Hello Christopher as well. My friend Dane Jill says friend Damer writes those and her covers are going a totally different way. Illustrations and vector art. Yeah, which is what I think, we see. Is it changing tabs? So I'll make sure it's changing tabs. Yes, it is. That's what we see here with a lot of these, we're looking at stuff like that. And that's sending the right message. That's sending rom-com, that's sending, cozy and whatnot. The question is, I don't know what the heat level on these are. But if you were to look at these, like, so let's say we looked at all of these books, and Megan Quinn, I think, actually has like heat going on in her books, if memory serves. But let's say, for example, we looked at all of these ones that sort of have this cutesy vibe, and they're all low heat. Then we know that anybody using this cover, seeing this cover, is not expecting heat. And if you're high heat, then you'd want to use a cover that looks like this. Like you need to then go the other way and not have this mix of these two things. So that's my thoughts on that. Um, is the book in first person or third person? I still click on the cover expecting to get the sample from doing that. So the book's in third person, your blurb's in third person. I don't know if people read this genre in third a lot. I'd be willing to bet that all of these are all first. But I could be wrong. Wait, I clicked read sample, didn't I? There we go. Come on, Amazon. Work with me here. Yeah, first person. So I'm not going to do a full deep dive right now, but it could be that the market actually really prefers first person for this type of book, and not having it in third is also hurting you a bit as well. I do wonder if there's a hook that might be missing from this too. Like about like how they are together, like something about from his POV or her POV about how they want the other person. Might be something you could do to also like to spice that up. So those are just some thoughts I have. Obviously, not like a super deep dive, But if you've got like this large list and you've got social media posting going on, you've only sold 5 copies, somehow what people want and what your cover and blurb are telling them are not aligned. Like they want a certain thing and your cover and blurb say no, or say something then that makes them think it doesn't have what they want. I'd almost be tempted to hit my list and be like, what do you want in this type of story? And what makes you think this book won't satisfy that? If you don't think you'd pick up this book, why would that be the case? Like some sort of way to get an insight into what your list is looking for. Maybe it's just a story that your list isn't looking for, and that's why, because it doesn't align with other stuff you've written before. Actually, let me just, before I veer off entirely, I'm curious what the other books in this series look like. Okay, so you were sticking with the vibe of the series, obviously. I think your covers kind of have the same issue. This first one's pretty cute. I do like that. But I don't know that they don't really say rom-com to me that much. And I kind of wonder if that's a disconnect that people have. Like the backgrounds say rom-com, but then the dudes don't. It's a weird genre to try and match that up in. All right. You're very welcome, Linda. Hopefully this was somewhat helpful for you. What is Jill linking to here? Is that one that you're reading, or I'm trying to like highlight the text, but I can't. All it will do is just make it show. Oh, that's magical and paranormal. Okay. So yeah, that's some thoughts there. So one of the things I do want to talk about today is just sort of what ads are doing right now. Just kind of, because I think a lot of people come here for a bit of the ads news. Ad costs plummet after Christmas. They ease down after starting on the 26th, and then the CPCs on ads should drop precipitously come the 1st. What you'll see then is you'll see yourself getting way more clicks, and especially if you look at attribution, Amazon attribution, you'll see that blue line just skyrocket as you're getting more clicks. The problem is a lot of times you might also then see your reads and your sales drop, because effectively what it happens is the ad becomes visible to so many more people due to a lowered CPC that it actually goes back into learning phase. And it doesn't always cleanly come out of learning phase like it was before. It's like Pet Cemetery. They don't come back the same. So if you have ads that were working great before Christmas and fell off a cliff right around like the first, especially right around the 1st, what you can do to try and rectify that is, one, make like a tweak to your audience. Maybe add an author, remove an author, change the age range by like 5 years or something like that. That will force Facebook to put the ad back into learning phase again. Or you can try just remaking it from scratch. Don't duplicate, remake, and see if you can get Facebook to sort of show that ad back to the correct audience again. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes they go through these learning phases after the new year and they come out stronger, better, faster than ever before. But sometimes they don't. So when they don't, you have to go and do some tweakings to get them to behave again. But we should see dramatically decreased costs in ads. If you aren't, then it might be that somehow Facebook is just still not showing your ads to the right people, and it can't get clicks, and therefore it's charging you a lot more money. I have one client that I'm working on that with. I think Facebook might actually have like some account level learning about who wants to see his ads, and it's sort of refusing to show this very different genre from what he normally writes to the people that really should see it. And so we can't get low costs per click on that. So we're actually going to try making a whole new ad account, but that's a much, much rarer problem to have that sort of issue. So Christopher, you're noticing that the ads got cheaper, you're getting a lot more clicks, but your reads have decreased. Is that what you're seeing? That was this question or this statement. William says, my great ad that was up over 100% ROI in December, then dropped sales almost nothing, went back to 225 ROI yesterday. Did you make any changes, William? Or did you just sort of magically do that? It might have like gone through the learning phase, which can take a week sometimes, and exited stronger, better, faster, and just took a bit to get there too. But yeah, like you say here, the inconsistency is it makes for alcoholism. not exactly, but you get my point, right? I suppose I got water all over my desk when I was like getting my brush damp earlier. And that's why you got to have multiple ads, right? Having just one ad, and if the ad goes sideways, then you're in trouble. So I always try to run like a slew of ads. Like I'm running ads for one of LT Ryan's series, and come on, brain, catch up with where my mouth was, or mouth catch up with where brain was. And some of the ads have, so like one particular book I'm running 4 ads in the US, and 2 of them went through this process and came out better, and 2 of them went through the process and came out worse. So in the end, it's a wash. And I'm just going to adjust spend now to rectify the issue. But I'm always sort of expecting that some ads are going to tank and some ads are going to come up, and I'm always like trying to run like a stable of ads, so that as any kind of go down, the others will come up. William says, I dropped the spend to $5 duplicate, then adjusted the audience on the duplicate. Now I'm letting them battle one another. I love it. Do it. And yeah, so long as the ad is not listed as high performing, changing your spend can also reset the audience. If the ad's marked as high performing, it won't go back into learning phase if you change the spend. So your mileage may vary with that. Angel cage fight, bone saw, right? Spider-Man 1 reference. I love that. I just love the way that guy acts, the bone saw character in that cage fight. All right. That's really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what you've got coming out of those. I think that sounds really exciting. That's actually the other thing I'm going to do with that one author where I can't get low CPCs. Like we're talking 50 to 60 cent CPCs right now on ads, which is nuts. I'm going to do a bunch of video ads as well, and see if I can make those behave. In fact, I need to remember to do that this afternoon. So I'm going to put that in my calendar. My calendar is like totally just my to-do list system. Who else does that? Who else uses their calendar as their to-do list? And anytime they have something they need to do, it goes in the calendar. You might like adjust it later, but it has its first step one is get it into the calendar. That's like absolutely how I operate. Okay, I'm all set now. Are they, when you say you seem to be having success, by the way, are they like good ROIs, or are they just low CPCs? So even like an okay conversion is converting well, or just sort of like early days? Conversion slightly worse, but the CPC is wonderful for a box set. I only need a couple daily sales to make mutual profit. And that's something I see a lot from video. Your conversion is lower from video, but because the cost per click is so much lower, you can get substantially more clicks for your money. And so long as like a lot of times like let's just do some easy math. If your CPC was 20 cents per click and you were making 1 sale off of 20 clicks, let's just say, but then you get another ad that's getting, you might make a video ad and you're 10 cents per click, but it takes, twice as many, like it takes twice as many clicks to make a sale. The amount of money still works out to be the same because the cost is half. So your clicks are cheaper. And if you can get the ratio better than that, you can get, so like, I don't know, like you get 75% the sales, but half the cost per click. Boom, you're making more money. So it's not like, a lot of times I think the basic metrics I give are good for like sort of like eyeballing things quickly and making sure they're good, but there's no substitute for really digging into your numbers and seeing like, what does it cost me to make this sale? What does it cost me to get this full read, and assess your ads that way. 100%, 100 plus ROI. Well, that's always good for sure. You're my people, Rosa. Like everything goes in the calendar. I think the reason for me is one of the things I learned, and I think this is fairly true across the board, but it's certainly true for me, is the number of pieces of software I will use in a given day has a hard limit. And it's about, like, when it comes to like to-do list, it's 1, maybe 2. I can sometimes get myself to use 2 pieces of software for a to-do list. And generally that's going to be email and calendar, right? So if I want to try to introduce another thing like Asana or Trello or what have you, that's a 3rd piece of software I now need for to-do list. And if I wasn't like doing meetings and whatnot, everything I was doing was all like like task oriented, then something like Asana or Trello would be better. But because the meetings sort of like set my day, and my calls and whatnot and things like this set my day, then that has to be the arbiter of truth when it comes to how my day is going to play out. And I can't use another piece of software. And I put in like check email or go over email into my calendar. And I think it's the same with everybody. Like there's probably only two pieces of software you'll use for a given task in a day. And if you have to introduce a third piece of software, forget about it. It's just not going to happen. And I also think that for most of us, um, for like major things, we've probably got like, you've actually probably got a 3 to 5 program cap. For me, it's like a chat program, my writing program, Facebook ads, and then email and calendar. And that's it. That's like, I won't use more than that on a given day. If I'm going to be doing something heavy, like a bunch of video editing or cover editing, chances are one of those other things is not going to get looked at that day. It's just sort of me like this weird hard limit where I think it's like a task switching limit. I'm decent at task switching, but if I have to task switch between too many discrete things, then it just becomes impossible to do that. I look forward to seeing what yours look like. I might pop into your account, your ad account, William, and take a gander. No, for those of you who don't know, I don't have like this universal power where I can go into anyone's ad account. I just have access to William's because of the program of ours that he's in. Um, so, I kind of feel like I'm out of topics though. I thought like, oh, I have so much to talk about Facebook, but it's kind of simple. It's just your ads may need to be rebooted effectively right now. I should say one thing though. December is historically one of the best KU rate months of the year, and January is historically one of the worst. So do keep that in mind. You're probably going to see, when you're thinking about like how profitable you are and things right now, you're probably going to see like a 7% decrease in KU revenue on February 15th, when the January rate gets announced. So sort of like prepare for that, gird your loins. And that low rate generally persists into February as well, although it usually improves. So I don't even know what the rate is right now. I didn't calculate the rate the last few months of the year. But it oftentimes drops by like 10% in January. So keep that in mind. And then February, I'll be talking about this more again, but also just sort of like mentally prepare yourself for the fact that February is usually worse than you think it will be, because we get that low rate. And actually, as you're looking at your numbers during February, come the 15th, you're going to be seeing that low January rate being shown in your February reporting. So you're going to be like, wow, this is terrible. This is bad. And then the month is going to end early. So, and that can actually have a pretty big difference, because we're going to be 3 days shorter, because you get like these 2 months in a row, December and January, they're 31-day months. And then when you lose 3 days, like let's say you make $300 a day, well, it's like $1,000, boom, that you just lose in February from not having those extra 3 days. So that lower rate carrying over from January and the lower number of days will make February seem bad and possibly worse than it is, because the rate usually does come up in February. So sorry to, I think not welcome news, but at the same time, I also feel like if you're prepared for it and you know what's going to happen, then when it does happen, you'll be less panic and more like, okay, I understood that this was going to happen, and this is my plan for dealing with that. And your plan just might be like, just manage your expenses a little bit differently for February, because your earnings going to be down a bit. Oh, that's awesome, James. Subscriber as we're getting signs 45 cents per click. Or per sub. That's great. That is awesome. I mean, anything under 60 is good. So being at 45 cents is really good. Hey, Penumbria. And bye. Yeah, I always feel like I expect February to be bad, and then it's worse than I expect. So now I expect it to be even worse, and then I can be like pleasantly surprised if it's not absolutely terrible. Yeah, don't panic, but also remember from an expenses standpoint, for February, that you are going to have those fewer days. Although from a paid advertising perspective, you're also going to have 3 days that you're not spending money on ads too. So that also comes into play. Um, oh my goodness, that sounds like a lot. I have to miss to go into the pharmacy in the blizzard because INS restrictions on the youngest non-narcotic migraine med and her POTS meds. That's a bunch. Sure, yeah, definitely watch later, Penumbria. Although I guess you guys can't all see this, but this sounds insurance. INS must be insurance restrictions. I was thinking of Immigration Naturalization Services. I'm like, how is the INS involved in with medication? Um, but yeah, you'd be blessed too. I missed having you around. Although I think I've seen you a couple times lately. William says, I have high hopes for February. I'm going to create more video ads for non-selling box sets and hope to breathe in life. I mean, that's great because you're kind of expanding into February, right? So you're going to have backlist things that have been kind of not doing anything. And if you can run even any amount of ROI on backlist products that weren't selling is still going to move up your bottom line. So if you have like 5 backlist things and you can get each one to have 25% ROI, then that's 125% across all, not money wise, but it's 125% additional revenue that you wouldn't have had before. If you can get that was like a weird way of thinking that, but I think saying that, but I think you got the point. Oh, that's cool. Book 2. How'd book 1 go, by the way? Oh, Chris has a question further up. I must have missed that. I'm sorry. Let me scroll up and find it. I totally missed this. Is it best to go with a wide audience or target audience in 2025? If targets are limit to number of targets per ad set. That is a very good question. Thank you for asking it. No, he's not a plant. So it depends a lot on who your audience is. So let's say, for example, roughly 50% of women read some sort of romance. Now they don't, not all 50% of that 50% read multiple books a year. One of them might just read like one romance book a year kind of thing. However, a significantly smaller percentage of women read military science fiction, So if you're going to be running a wide targeted contemporary romance ad, it can do quite a bit better than reverse harem, reverse harem. Yeah, we'll say it's a reverse harem, which is like this. Never mind. Super niche sci-fi romance. Let's just say that. Super niche, super queer sci-fi romance, even though it's also romance, is going to have a much smaller reach. And so the wider your audience is, the bigger your audience is, the more representative it is, the easier it is to run wide targeted ads. And also, so the more niche your ad is, the less likely those are to work for you. And then also the more likely your ad is to upset people and get your ad reported, the less you're going to want to do that. So if I'm running like, tentacle sex, FFM / Q gender romance or sci-fi romance, and I just target that wide, and a bunch of people who are not keen on those particular things see my ad, they're going to report them. My ad's going to get shut down, or it's going to get a lot of negative feedback and negative comments and stuff like that, and that's going to cause Facebook to take longer to figure out who to show the ad to. So your learning phase takes longer. So that's one angle. How big is your audience? How broad is your audience? And the 2 broadest audiences are general adventure thrillers, so like Jack Reacher kind of books, and middle of the road, middle heat contemporary romance. And so if you're writing either one of those, wide targeting is pretty easy. And of course, you're writing contemporary romance, you're going to target just women. But if you're writing those Jack Reacher thrillers, you can actually target men and women, and they'll generally work pretty well. So it's really all about the more niche you get. So I personally have found that even for really broad stuff, I can oftentimes get my ads to perform better and to perform better sooner if I do some sort of detailed targeting. And there's no limit to the number of targets you can put per ad set. What you're really trying to do is build an audience of at least 1 million people. Because Facebook will eventually go outside the audience you give it anyway, because they've turned on advantage detailed targeting across the board roughly a year ago now. And with that turned on, basically they'll ignore, at a certain point, they'll ignore what you put in to try and get more people. So, so what we need to give Facebook a really good, large initial pool of people so that they can learn well. And when it starts to expand that pool, kind of keeps it where we want it to go. Whereas if you make it too small, it breaks out of your pool too soon before it really learns who to show it to, which is why we need our ad sets now to be audiences to be at least 1 million. Back like 8 years ago, when I started doing this, 100,000 was the max because Facebook sucked at figuring out who your show your ads to. So you have to like super narrow it down. But now we actually want bigger. Bigger is better. But I really like putting some guardrails in there so that the initial learning phase for my ad is well targeted and lines up well. So hopefully that's useful. William says, okay, I had to restart my newsletter audience because it was the wrong group. So I launched book one with only about 80 people. Okay, yeah. I've since grown the list almost 600. Nice. Frequent prequel novels. Hopefully book two will hit harder. I'll only experiment with Facebook ads for book one because there's no read through. That makes sense. I can totally see that you're not going to go hard and heavy right away. And also like all those other things. So it sounds good though. It says, do you think the time will ever come where Facebook will allow us to target indie authors in our audiences? I mean, there are some you can target. It's no one knows the criteria that Facebook has for who can be targetable, who can't be targetable, because they just seem to arbitrarily add and remove people. There's like trad authors that are tiny that you can target, and trad authors that are massive that you can't target. It's weird, but like Colleen Hoover was targetable before she went trad, as an example. I mean, she's massive, so of course she is. So it's not really indie, non-indie. It's more like the data that Facebook has access to and how big they are, plus some sort of like roll the bones sort of thing that they seem to do. But I suspect and I fear that as time goes on, Facebook will be will remove more targetable things versus adding new ones. That seems to be the trend. I don't see tons and tons of new things coming in at the same rate as things are going out. So it's okay for bigger genres, but when you're smaller, man, finding representative stuff is getting harder and harder, which is pesky. Which is why our creative has to be so on point now, because we have to basically assume that our ads will show to people who aren't our readers. So we need to make sure that the ad creative strongly signals what our books are to filter out those people as much as we filter in everybody else. So that's my thoughts on that. I'm gonna call it here though. I'm gonna wrap because I feel like I'm out of interesting things to say. Unless anybody else has any last minute questions, I'll spitball for a minute or two to see if anyone has any last minute questions. But again, if you are part of our membership, which you can get to at storytellerlab.net, or you can just go to thewritingwives.com and get there too. If you're part of our membership, I'm starting my live sprints starting tomorrow, first one tomorrow at 1:30 to 3:30 Eastern. And you can get into our membership for our basic level, even just $37 a month. And then you'll actually get to hang with me sprinting twice a week, for like 4 hours twice a week. Well, 4 hours altogether during the week. I feel like that's a very high value. Plus everything else that we have in our membership too. It's like it's worth it without even the sprinting thing. But I should note, by the way, for anybody who's looking forward to doing that, I will not be sprinting for the last 2 weeks of this month because I have a surgery coming up. I might be doing it some, I don't know, but I'm not going to make a commitment for the last 2 weeks of the month because I don't know what recovery will look like. So William says Facebook targeting as whack. Michael Anders killing urban fantasy but not targetable. Yeah, the number one sci-fi authors have been indie for some time and none of them are targetable. Oh, I'm sorry, Gina. Well, you can always go back and watch it from the beginning. I promise I was entertaining the whole way through and had wonderfully insightful things to say all along. All right, folks. It has been a slice hanging with you. I will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. And if you are coming to the sprints, man, the next Monday, I'm doing 3 hours of sprinting starting at 10 a.m. So lots and lots of sprinting to be had. I'm glad. I'm really glad that I get that you get something out of what I share each week. All right. With that, I will say adieu. Have yourselves a fabulous day and a fabulous weekend. And of course, if you or anyone you know who is in some sort of danger zone around the world, like LA. My thoughts are with you as well.